103, 104, 105, 106.
Okay, hit the showers. We have to go talk about Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Welcome to Horror Movies with Friends. This is a friend, and I'm Andy Green, aka Wolfmandy Screame. This is day 8 of 31 movies, 31 friends, 31 drink pairings, and we can see almost all of Blondie this time. It's a big day. He's deigning deigning us with his presence. It's time. I'm excited to talk about this movie a lot and talk with Kyle Boyce. This is, let's see, I promised to introduce you as a Sparks stan.
That is correct.
You chose this movie as well, and we'll talk about that, but we used to work together. That's how this friendship began. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited for the next round here, and to force you to have coffee.
I'm consenting to have coffee.
Yes.
Let me make that very clear. I am. So the reason why he says that is because I have purposely chosen not to drink coffee. I'm just afraid I'll get too easily addicted to it. Because I'm good friends with this man, I've agreed to drink coffee on purpose for this movie.
This isn't accidental.
This is not accidental. We will see what happens. There's a small chance that I might get super jittery. Maybe there's a chance I'll have to leave the room for some reason.
Ooh, yeah.
I don't know. We'll find out.
Why would anyone need to leave the room for coffee? Because it's just a religious experience. It's so good, just like this movie. And what movie are we watching, Kyle?
We are watching A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge.
Ooh, and this was 1987?
I want to say 85 or 84.
Ooh, okay, yeah, no, I think it's 85, because 84 was the first one. So, yes, 85. I was jumping a couple years. It looked, this is jumping ahead, but it looked a lot, more recent. These movies look good.
Yeah, from a basic look, most of them are better produced than people give them credit for. It's one of the reasons why it's one of the horror franchises that I'm a particular fan of. I have seen all of them. I watched all of them for the first time, mostly last year. I had seen the original. I had seen New Nightmare before then, and then this one I watched for the first time a couple years ago because a friend of mine was working on a slasher script and was doing research and was like, "Hey, do you want to watch slasher movies with me?" And I was like, "Yeah." And
great research. That's kind of what I'm doing here.
Pretty much, yeah. And this one, I had heard things about Dream Warriors being a blast, and I know you have that upcoming soon, so you have that to look forward to. So wait, have you seen Dream Warriors before?
I haven't, and
I know.
It's going to be my favorite. I already know it's going to be my favorite.
At the very least, you're going to have a good time.
Yeah. Let's have a good time together right now. And before we get any further, I think I have to ask you the question: would you like a cup of coffee?
I would very much like a cup of coffee. Yes.
All right. So today, I'm going to move Freddy's sweater down to introduce Lelena, she's the true power of this episode. This is from Uncommon Coffee Roasters. It's a queer-owned coffee company out of Michigan. And you have a Michigan backstory, or I make that up?
No. Yeah, not the same area. I looked it up. No, I lived in Ann Arbor, Michigan for a little over a year back in 2016, 2017. Yeah.
I'd like to say I did that on purpose, but it's just the YouTube gods, or coffee gods.
Good coalescence.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And so this is out of Brazil, and it's named after Lelena, who is the farmer and producer of this. And I just have to read the back of this because I think it's awesome. She started with coffee very young, at the age of 9 years old. When her father got injured, that's not awesome.
No.
But she's now 71, and it says it's been 64 years of uninterrupted work. I don't think the math is right there, but we'll trust. I'm not going to correct the back of this bag, but still, that's amazing. And let's try some Brazilian beans and talk Freddy.
Let's do it.
Whoa! How did we do that? That was magic.
Power of editing.
yeah. There was no. All right. Let's see. I'm always like wondering if I'm getting it in. The shot. Oh god, that sound.
That's good sound.
Does it make you need to pee?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Now to the point where I just need to go to the bathroom when I make coffee. I haven't even like had it yet. It's just like Pavlov. It just like.
I was about to say, yeah. You fully conditioned yourself at this point.
Ooh. Yeah. All right, and then I'm just gonna go. Let's do this. I'm excited. And I'm sort of nervous that I'm going to ruin your life with coffee here. No, I think
we'll be fine.
I think we'll be fine as well.
Should I wait before some of this, or is it at a good temperature?
Oh, I think we've been waiting a while before. That was all
power of editing. Power of editing.
Well, no. We that was all part of the design. I made it, and then we had a chat, and now it's ready.
Yes,
the cooling is happening. But I'll take the first sip if you want to make sure.
Oh, yeah. It's a lovely scent. It's really nice.
Okay, yeah, it won't burn you.
Okay, good.
You're good.
All right.
This is really good. Interesting. Okay. Tell me more.
It's more of a crisp type taste than I was expecting. It's not. It doesn't feel too dissimilar to tea to me, and I say that as a good way. I'm not saying it tastes like tea. I'm just saying in terms of just I don't know.
No,
I think it works.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I think that's a good because I think a lot of the coffee that you get in like a diner or whatever, it's so strong and it's all the grounds. But actually, the more water you put in it, then the flavor of the coffee beans come out.
Mm-hmm.
And then so that is obviously tea is water and herbs, and that's kind of what this is. I mean, it's a bean, a fruit. And let's see, what do we got in terms of flavor?
Mm-hmm.
I want to say toffee, maybe a
There's a little bit of that.
a little nut, definitely nutty. I don't know about caramel. I mean, sometimes it's just like really like that's what it looks like, and in my head that's what it tastes like.
Mm-hmm. But I definitely like this more than the last time I tried coffee. I can't for the life of me remember what the last type I tried was. I don't know if it was just I don't know if I had cream and sugar in it. I don't remember if it was I don't know. Whatever it was, this is better. So
yay, we did
success.
it. Yeah, we're improving on the past, which is all we can do. I don't know if this movie improves on the past because I think the first one's a better film. I don't think anyone's going to argue that. But now that we're caffeinated, now that we're safe from Freddy.
So far, yes.
Yes, so that's true.
One of the things I do actually like about this one is like one of the first times we see Freddy in this is damn, I'm blanking. Is Jesse waking up from his way too hot room at one point, and then he like gradually wanders outside and then sees Freddy in the basement with the furnace thing. I really like how not like heightened and exaggerated that sequence is. I like it just naturally segues into just him being there, and that feels more more straightforward dreamlike to me. That was one little sequence I really liked.
I actually took note of that one too because it was less elevated or sort of in your face, and then it sort of escalates to like him grabbing at the door or whatever. But yeah, just the shadow of Freddy and like him not actually going after him immediately is almost creepier. Yeah, because you're like, wait, I know what Freddy is what I'm expecting him to do, and he's not.
Exactly.
And that's creepy because like, what is Freddy's plan? And I mean, Freddy's plan is to kill through Jesse.
Yes.
And he does fairly effectively at that, I would say.
Yeah, there's some. I mean, I'd say like the first like real big set piece or centerpiece is the death of the coach.
Yes, that fucking coach.
Yeah, which I mean, we can have a whole episode length discussion just on the coach character because Because like we get it's very explicitly stated pretty early on that he is known to go to an S&M bar, a local S&M bar. We see said S&M bar.
He's wearing all leather, yeah.
Yeah, which, if I recall from my research, like that actually was a real like leather bar in LA where this was shot.
Donald's Bar or Donald's Place? Donald's Place.
Yeah, Donald's Place, which is unfortunately that name is.
That name has been ruined.
The name is we
need Donald Duck to come and save it.
Yeah, we need Donald Duck to reclaim that. Yeah, absolutely.
Fight him! You are not afraid of him. He doesn't even exist.
You mentioned the too hot room, and to me, my dream was this was the only day I wanted to be 97 degrees in LA, but it's actually a cool day.
Yeah.
I wanted us to just be sweating our asses off in here because we can't have the AC because of the sound, and because that to me felt like whoever wrote this movie. When I know we'll talk about who wrote this movie,
oh yeah,
but it felt to me like it was a really hot summer in LA, and his AC wasn't working, and it just sort of that had to be part of it to me, and it felt very LA in that way. Like we've all been there, having lived here, I think, and I know that's like stupid to complain about, but it's just part of it. It's in the fabric of that movie, and there's just a lot of sweaty nipples in this movie.
There are a lot of sweaty nipples I can words. There are a lot of sweaty nipples in this movie. There's
all Jesse's.
We get it. We get a look like we get our money's worth of our lead being objectified in this. In terms of, which is one of the things I find interesting about this movie is that it is a male lead. It is a male scream queen or male or final boy, if you will.
Yes.
And like right off the bat, that makes the energy like somewhat unique. But the thing, which because you mentioned the writer, we might as well just dive right into this.
Dive into it.
So I first heard when I first became aware of Nightmare on Elm Street as a series in like middle school and high school, I had first heard that the second one was considered to be a bit of a homoerotic undertone movie, and then I didn't ever do research into it. Because I didn't watch it until only a couple of years ago, and so I still only really had that tidbit of information back in my head. It's like, okay, there's a bit of like gay subtext here, and it turns out that was wrong because it's not subtext. It's there. It's very obviously coded.
Mommy, why can't Jesse wake up like everybody else?
I'll try to be brief with my rundown of this because there is a fantastic documentary by the name of Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street that deals with this as well as the life of as well as the life of the lead actor Mark Patton, who played Jesse. But in a nutshell, so Nightmare 1 is a huge success. They greenlight the sequel. Craven is not involved. No one from the original is really involved. The screenwriter is a man by the name of David Chaskin, and in essence, he wrote a script that is basically taking Freddy and making Nightmare on Elm Street that's about gay panic, and it's there's homoerotic undertones, but it is actually a very homophobic script because at least when I watched this movie, like what fascinated me about it was Freddy is being presented as like an explicitly like queer coded villain, and like reading it with that lens, you watch this movie and realize so Freddy's like the threat of our lead character being queer. Yes. Which is a very not cool and dated take because very also because when this was mid 80s when this came out, and our lead actor Mark Patton was is gay, but he was not out at the time. And what happened was the movie came out. I think it made money. Don't quote me on that, but
I'm quoting you.
It made money, but it wasn't super positively received, and it developed and then all of a sudden it started to get that reading of, oh, this movie's really, really gay. And the screenwriter Chaskin denied it for a long time and basically blamed it on Patton because he said because Patton was gay, Patton's and then years later when it started to get a positive reception for its gay coding, Chaskin then all of a sudden admitted that it was purposeful and started kind of taking more credit for it. And one of the reasons I highly recommend watching that documentary I mentioned is that Chaskin and Mark Patton finally have a conversation about it.
Ah.
And I personally have mixed feelings on how the conversation goes, because I feel like Chaskin doesn't ultimately take as much responsibility for his actions as I think he should have. But it is acknowledged the disconnect in terms of like what he was saying about the script versus his intent. And because in essence it was the gayness of the movie, of the subtext was kind of blamed on becoming more obvious because of Patton. Because I will admit, like, there's one thing, like, Patton's performance in this is really good, but there's a couple of scenes in it where, at least to me, like, it feels clear that this dude is not straight.
Yes, like when he's dancing and cleaning, but like that's, I mean,
that,
but at the same
the
time,
cleanup.
I do, that's a great scene and I do that. So
Oh,
like,
it's not even,
like, it's not gay.
No, it's
like,
not,
yeah.
I wasn't even going to point to that scene. I love that scene, by the way.
Well, I was just saying from like an 80s audience, that's probably like, oh, look at them. And that was like, he's weird, or it's embarrassing that he would do that.
I mean, I guess I can see that. I mean, I think the thought process on that sequence was just they were trying to do their version of Risky Business.
Yes.
That was my reading of that.
That's true. And just embarrass him with Lisa.
Which again, it succeeded. Like, I find that, like, that moment is adorable when she walks in, they're just like seeing him like dancing like a goof, like. I find that moment really, really endearing.
Lisa's really good to him. Because Lisa's just like, oh, I'm going to help you with your room now. Like, she wasn't fazed by that moment at all. She's just like, oh, I like this guy, clearly.
Yeah, no, that's...
Yeah, I really appreciated Lisa a lot in this movie. Poor Lisa.
Yeah, she is a super... She's an interesting, one of the more interesting, like, leads a Nightmare movie has had, and I almost feel bad that if both of them survive the ending of this movie, then in a few years she is going to eventually realize, oh, Jesse's not straight.
Right.
But I think she would still be supportive. That's the thing. That's how cool of a character she is. Like, she would be a little bummed that this person she clearly is into is not into her, but I think they would still remain friends. She strikes me as that kind of...
Yeah.
There's something exciting.
The movie essentially is portraying, like, if Jesse succumbs to who he is, if he is gay, that is equivalent to being Freddy and killing people.
Exactly.
And because, like, and the other carrot on the other side is like, oh, but go to Lisa, because Lisa loves you, Lisa wants you, and they have those scenes where it's literally like, there's sort of like, he can go with her, they can make out and have sex during the party scene, but then Freddy's tongue comes out.
Yeah, that gag that's a good, gross gag. Yeah.
And that he, literally his actual natural urges, the monster inside, which is such a problematic thing.
Yeah, even the other thing is the guy he becomes friends with at school, whose name I'm blanking on. Great, thank you, Grady. There's one of the most like clear moments of the movie, like bringing attention to the not subtle coding it's doing, is where after the tongue gag happens, he goes to Grady. He sneaks into Grady's room, and Grady has that amazing line where, like,
something is trying to get inside my body. Yeah, and she's female, and she's waiting for you in the cabana, and you want to sleep with me.
There's no way Chaskin didn't know what he was doing, and the fact that he got away with denying it for so long is I'll be polite and say hogwash.
Hogwash. And I think the Grady character is very interesting because it starts off as like, I'm reading it as he's just going to be beating up Jesse the whole movie.
And then they don't do that.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah, no, they just like, they bond over terrible push-ups, but terrible because they've been doing it for hours. And they're just, and because the PE teacher, that's his sort of, he gets off on doing that.
His deal, yeah. And then we touched on it briefly, like the PE teacher's death is a very choices are made during that sequence.
Tell us about those choices.
So, I mean, just obviously the basic gag is just like, okay, so we're just gonna fully embrace, what's the whole towel whip thing specifically.
Oh, yeah.
Which is just like, I get why.
Well, like, we're in the shower. Like, that's what we should say that. It's a locker. It's basically a play on the locker room sequence. We're going into all the different toxic sort of stuff in PE. Basically, Jesse is showering by himself, and then he comes in, right? Or he's taking
so the rest of the showers start turning on and getting hotter, and Jesse's like, what the hell? And then The coach is in his office, and all the stuff in his office starts freaking out and bouncing around. And then 2 jump ropes appear and like wrap around him and drag him into the locker room. He's pulled in, drag him into the shower.
Right, and jump ropes are very, those were in the first movie a lot. It's the,
the 1-2 Freddy's coming for your thing, yeah.
Yes.
So the jump ropes pull him up in between a few like the shower heads, and like the coach's clothes are pulled off, and then a few towels like start whipping him specifically on the butt, like just like straight on.
Yes.
And
a bare butt.
Yes, a bare butt. So it's a very because this character is misouted as being into S&M. Like the intent is definitely trying to like, okay, so that's how we're killing this character off, with this kind of S&M type death. And
well, and this is very shortly after, like, sort of, it seems like a dream scenario where Jesse goes to the S&M bar, and then he's found by the guy and basically taken, and then all of a sudden he's back at the gym.
He's back at the gym running laps, like, which is something that if you actually think about the legality of such an action, where like it could be a school night, that's what I'm gathering it is, but still I'm gonna go out and let me guess that it's probably not traditional or acceptable teacher policy to have your underage student from gym, like, bring them into the school on a school night after hours just because you saw them at an S&M bar.
That you were freaking.
I mean, again, he also stops him from like drinking the beer, but I'm like, we know that's not what this is about.
Yeah,
it's weird. It's a
power trip. I mean, there's a power dynamic. There's definitely, again, homoeroticism and the dynamic of the relationship, and then it switches, and Freddy takes over Jesse. And that's the whole thing. It's basically a battle of Freddy trying to kill through Jesse. He needs him based on, I guess, how the last movie ended or whatever. He can't. I don't know. It doesn't really follow the first movie.
No, I think it has that hilarious exposition machine of the diary that.
Nancy.
Which again, I haven't seen the first one in a while, but I don't recall Nancy having a diary, but I assume the thought process was, we need an exposition device. Yes. All teenage girls have diaries, right? Yeah, sure, okay, fine.
And of course it's going to be left in the bedroom after, not only was it a crime scene where they would of course have taken everything away, it's been moved and been off the market for, they said, 10 years or whatever.
Yeah, that's the thing. They jump ahead 5 years, which is an interesting choice.
Well, it's sure not a leaky gas pipe.
You all right?
Oh, sorry. You set this whole thing up.
I want to talk about the parents a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because the dad is
a piece of shit.
And he himself isn't he has this toxic masculinity, and he's putting it on his son, but he himself doesn't know what he's doing the whole time. He doesn't know how to do the AC.
It's clear that this is a homophobic movie, so it's weird that in this same homophobic movie we're getting a depiction of more traditional toxic masculinity that is depicting it negatively. So it's weird where if this movie's trying to advocate for a different type of masculinity, which I don't think it is, it makes me confused on the messaging a little bit, because again, we're not at any point supposed to like this dad. It's kind of comical how awful he is, and just not in an awful sense of he's not abusive to his kids or anything like that. It's just more general I'm in charge. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm the dad, so I'm in charge.
And he bought the house because it was cheap, because it was haunted, or because not haunted. I mean, it is haunted.
A previous crime scene, and didn't tell his wife about it.
Yeah, the wife's wait, really? Yeah. Which is another instance of adults keeping secrets from kids, but in this case, it was a man keeping a secret from his wife too. Mm-hmm. So it sort of increased the layer from the first one, which was definitely the parents not telling the kids that they knew about Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
So I find that I love those thematic elements of this of this franchise. Oh, I just really love that he got cut by the bird. And it was a very small cut, but his Band-Aid keeps getting bigger and bigger, I feel like throughout the whole movie. It's just it's almost...
It does expand a bit there, doesn't it? Yeah.
Maybe it's infected. He's infected.
That could have been a plot. Maybe it was a plot line that got cut. I really don't know. But, I mean, I'm glad this movie has found, a following, because, despite the fact that its messaging ultimately goes more into a homophobic territory, just having certain depictions of more like gay coded like imagery and a character who is at the very least not traditionally masculine, having that as a character to latch onto. When I watched this, by the time I watched this, I was already out as bi, so like I wasn't at the point where I'm sure there are like young like closeted men in particular who saw this and maybe started to see a bit of themselves and had someone to relate to, even though the movie isn't necessarily saying that this character is gay or out as gay. But I know that one of the reasons this movie has a following is that it found an audience that had that reception to this character and saw themselves in that. And one of the things that Mark Patton now does, because after this movie, Mark Patton vanished. He, due to a variety of things, which again, see that documentary. But he left Hollywood, and for very valid reasons. And he
normally when people leave Hollywood, there's
there's usually a good reason.
Hollywood, it's Hollywood's fault.
It usually is, but he found out years later that there was a following a reading of this movie, and that he had sort of become a bit of a gay icon.
Yeah.
And so when he found that out, he started doing like the convention circuits and all that stuff. And what I love about what he's done with that platform is that he has used that to not only talk about his experience making the movie, but also to talk about the AIDS epidemic in the 80s, because he lived through that. And he knew people that did not survive that. And again, the documentary goes, I'm sorry that basically this is me plugging the documentary.
No, don't apologize. I'm fascinated, and it's, the movie is also like, I mean, it's very problematic, but it's not a bad movie in terms of like how it's put together.
No, I like, as much as I acknowledge that the first one is better, there are certain ways that scares and set pieces are staged in this one that I frankly like better. I like the pacing of this more than the original, but I'm someone who likes stuff that moves at a slightly slower pace.
Shut up, Grady. Wanna shut up? Fine, I'll shut up. No problem.
When he's like chewing his food and talking during the cafeteria scene, and he's just like, "Fine, I'll leave," but like he's just like, I just love that. It was so insane. Grady's insane.
Grady's a good character. There's good.
Yeah, I thought Grady was another Rod. You know, this sort of asshole from the first movie, and because he even looks similar in a way. But he was sort of a. He's not. I was gonna say he's a sweetheart. Not really, but he's just like.
What is there a term for like sweet jock? I feel like I'm blank. I feel like there's a word for that.
I mean, he was because it did subvert my expectations about who that person was going to be, and also even the movie starts with Jesse on the back of the bus, and he just looks so. I would say, very nerdy, but like pathetic. It's like the girls are laughing at him. It sort of sets up to me like, oh, this guy's a loner outsider. And that's what I thought the whole movie was going to be about. And it is in a way, but like he has basically a girlfriend or like a hot girl that he's driving with, and everyone finds him attractive.
Yeah.
Like when
he gets, Mark Patton's very attractive.
When he gets pants, everyone's like, oh, nice butt, like
right.
Which to me was like a mortifying experience, but like
not a good experience.
Yeah, pants and PE.
Don't do that. Don't be a shark. Come on, guys. It's 2021.
Just sit down and have coffee with the people.
In the middle of gym class.
Yes, in the middle of gym class. That's better. if the coach had just some coffee, we all sit down and just talk about our feelings.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any other feelings left over? I know we have some more coffee. I know there's a lot of feelings in this.
There are lots of feelings. I guess my overall thing was I would love to see a Nightmare on Elm Street movie that's more explicitly queer, and like there's a very simple way you can adjust this to make it like a queer positive movie, where instead of making Freddy the stand-in for a character being queer, it's the idea is like, because Freddy, at least originally as written, is a pedophile, is someone who targets children. And I know that there are folks out there who have tried to equate pedophilia as a form of queerness, which is incredibly, no. So I remembered that while watching this, was like, if you changed it so that the lead character is someone who's struggling with whether or not they are queer, realizing they are queer, and Freddy's trying to somehow like utilize that uncertainty to equate that queerness with himself, and then the arc is the character realizing, no, I am this. and I am not like you, and what you are is not queer valid. Screw you. Like
And that vanquishes Freddy.
exactly, yeah. I don't have a plot to wrap around that, but in terms of like,
Well, how much coffee do you need? Let's do this.
give me like 2.5 more cups. I'll have a draft. I'll have a draft by then. Yeah.
To me, we need the Nightmare on Elm Street, Jesse's Revenge. I think that's the movie we need, and it's really cool to me that Mark Patton has sort of come out, like he has come into his own as a gay icon, and just sort of that to me is the hopeful, awesome part about this movie. It's fucked up, the movie.
Oh yeah, the movie's a bit of a mess, but
there's light.
yes,
There's light at the end of the coffee cup. Kyle, thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you for having me.
This was fun. And thank you all for joining us for a cup of coffee and some Freddy chat. And as always, I just want to say I'm doing this month for a dear friend of mine, and running a fundraiser for LGBTQ plus youth, by proxy by the Trevor Project, an amazing nonprofit. And so there is information below if you could donate, or just send to people that maybe have money, because Kyle and I don't. But we have each other, and that's what this mostly is about. So thank you for being here. Tomorrow, as we said, or tomorrow in quotes, because who knows when that comes out, Dream Warriors, episode 3 with my friend Christine. We got a Zoom episode, and we're launching a coffee that was made for this show. Welcome to Grind Time, ladies and gentlemen, through Mother Tongue Coffee, an awesome coffee shop in Oakland. And so Dream Warriors is on HBO Max. Join us. And in the meantime, I'll see you at the next phase of the moon. Let's howl at the moon for the friends we miss. The friends we wish we're here to see this. I forgot to hold your hand. Let's do that.
Yeah. Okay.